I've liked fighting games since I can remember. The first one I put hours into was TMNT Tournament Fighter on Super Nintendo. Middle school me spent late nights coming up with new challenges to keep it fresh. The next real moment for me was in the 2000s. I had a crappy job, but some decent people, including AB. They made music, were down to earth, and loved Third Strike. I had played Soul Calibur and Smash in the dorms and always done well, but Third Strike blew my mind with the technical needs, and I grew like many to love the Raging Demon. You're counting it out right now in your head, aren't you? Bop, bop, tap, bing, bang, they go boom. Even then, the style got to me over the substance of the mechanics. Yeah, I parried sometimes when I had a read, but more often would just wait and take my turn and try and be fundamental. This was the dawn of the internet and gaming, and I was on the front lines. CBS2 was one of the early gems for infant Xbox Live beta times. I played plenty of NFL and NBA 2K5. I don't have any real memories of any gaming things other than playing through Halo 3 co-op with my boy Jose. Point being, I don't think I was awful, even though I certainly wasn't topping any leaderboards. So why is it so hard now? I'm writing this after trying to get back into Street Fighter 6 and failing pretty miserably. I watched a short about ADHD anger the other day that really spoke to me. When I throw the controller, it's usually not about the other player at all. It's why are these things that I practice not coming out anything like my mind is saying they should? I've been holding block for 10 seconds straight, how did that not register kind of things. I don't expect my combos to land, they're gonna drop, I tell myself. I've yet to intentionally drive rush outside of training because the inputs just don't click, and I hate that the game feels like it's more important than the other big mechanics of drive parry or impact. Maybe I should change my controller, you say. Since writing this script, I've since put up 2 separate controller over the years videos. I love the thought of modern controls because my hands hurt from my work. I'm trying to rest up and my body isn't really cooperating. Simply put, the digits don't always respond when the lump of bacon tells them to. It's become a little worse in recent years after a workplace injury that the company swept under the rug. The disconnect between what I think I can do and what I can actually do has never been greater. Exercise and practice, yes, but sometimes the muscles just say no, and Doc says it'll come with time. Which is to say, I've been somewhat accustomed to my inputs not coming out right, even when they aren't being eaten by the game. But it doesn't make it any less frustrating for my character to stand there, or even worse, do a different move and leave myself wide open for a trip to Memphis. I have committed more violence upon inanimate objects than I care to admit. I've talked with my therapist about it, done exercises, all kinds of things to get better, but it hasn't done any good. I want to say yet there to imply optimism, the inverse of the high fidelity argument, but I flat don't have it. Why should I? I've been in plenty of tournaments, accepted my O2 with healthy GGs and fist bumps, but I'm cursing myself the whole time. Once I got to blame it on a controller going out, which both F you and kudos to Power A for sending the replacement. I'm grateful you did that, but it still happened in the first place. I'm not entering the big local this year because I don't see the point in throwing over $100 in menu fees for what I know is going to be a good hangout, but ultimately unfulfilling experience as I drown in pools. Somebody has to, but that is someone with more disposable income. Coming back to the big question, why do I keep playing if I'm going to get so upset? I gladly got Virtua Fighter 5 Revo on launch and even bought SBC Chaos as a sacrifice to get more games because I never thought we'd see them ever again. Single player content doesn't have to be RPG modes and endless trials. I imagine I'm in the minority because when I get a sports game, I'm 95% picking Play Now mode. I just want to throw down team versus team without the details of season or franchise. Sometimes some sprinkles like street mode or exploding barbed wire can be satisfying, but most of the time I just enjoy exhibition. So go play casual match, you say. Like I'm not going to get just as mad at myself even though imaginary points aren't changing the same way. My brain has advanced to a level of spiciness that often looks to simplify with absolutes, and doing something is absolutely better than doing nothing, but that meatball makes a compelling argument about not. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take? Well, that's not how math works, so fork that. I'm here to froth and rage over the sequence that hits every time in training, giving the wrong move in live, despite the inputs matching up. Fighting games have one of the better promises, that if you put in the time, generally you will get better. It's a different skill than platformers or adventure games where the environment is the obstacle. It's about matchups and applying abstract concepts to strategy, and about outthinking your foe and then translating that thought into the frame window and, oh, I just ate a super. Cool. Discipline is hard. That's why there's so many people coaching it and offering it and suggesting it. And once again, if it was that easy, I wouldn't be already angry thinking about footage that I will be recording in the future. I would love to not get angry, but without that emotion, I wouldn't have the only impetus I know that actually gets me doing things. Not healthy? Yeah, I agree, it probably isn't. But they say to always be creating, and the theory got me to put something down ahead of 3 other ideas that are about fun and all positive stuff. The ulcer I learned about last year tells me that my body isn't fond of it either, so one of these days I am going to have to actually care about it. I've let this script sit for over a month as I've been doing other things and getting momentum to actually make stuff, and I've been reflecting on it the whole time. I recognize my issue, but what am I going to do about it? The answer that I've come to is I have to slow down and make myself do it. As I play and stream more, it regularly goes pleasant chatter immediately into burst of rage at something not going how I was expecting. I have to slow down, distract, disperse the energy. Donkey Kong Bonanza gave me a lot of the problems that I have in fighting games. What my brain was telling the controller was not being reflected on the screen. Strange momentum, abilities not activating as described, walking in a different direction than I was pressing. Some of the more intricate sections engaged that combination of execution required to compete, and it was really frustrating to fall off the platform because the camera changed or it decided that the terrain was now going to be damaging. It felt like the levels were whip punishing me. In those moments, I strapped in and kept doing it until it got done. I got it done on tilt. But as I try and do something about reining in those bad impulses, the answer I keep coming to is to slow down and try and relax. And yeah, that's really hard when your brain feels like it's on fire all the time. We live in interesting times. I don't even have to try and shade towards anything. Everything is unusual, and it's navigating all of that in order to lock in to hop on ranked is an extra level sometimes. I've been making good use of VSim in Street Fighter 6. I see the crowds at the machine, so I know I'm not alone, and it feels good that I've gotten up to Diamond. Considering I'm naming my fighting content the Iron Warriors, both as the Warhammer reference and thanks to an accidental screenshot I took, I think it shows how focusing can actually pay off. I look back at the title, Why Fight If Bad? The answer is twofold. Fighting to fight and working to not be bad. The love of the games is what keeps us all coming back and always trying something new. The feelings are unmatched, even just going through arcade mode. Fighting games are unique in that there can always be someone better than you. CPUs can cheat and become gods, but the inherent versus nature means someone is supposed to be on the other side. And we always remember the struggle and not when we're on the bully side moving up. I rarely feel my opponents were cheap or other salty classics. I always get upset when the moves in my mind don't match what comes out on screen. I can also now say that I see the spice flowing in my thoughts, and knowing that is a handle to grab onto and help manage the feelings when they come. That whirling with thought has to go away. There's always another round. The thing I can come back to is it really is the love of the fight. Yeah, it's why we do anything, but I love fighting games and the greatness they come from them. It's the week before EVO as I write now, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm happy it survived, even if I'm disappointed that Sony bought it. I hate that I'm saying this, but at least Microsoft didn't buy it to shut it down, and at least it's not another Blood Money event. At least we got one new Killer Instinct. Expecting anything from that company feels pretty hopeless right now. But that's not what this is about. It's about hope. I've never played League. I was a Heroes of the Storm player, but I'm pumped for 2XKO. I'm excited for Marvel Vipers with a Z. To new games, new tech, new people. Push some buttons out there. I'll see you in the stands or in the warp.